This is episode 80 of How to Be a STEMinist. I'm so excited. I have reached 80 episodes with you. I've been so grateful that you've been listening, whether you've been listening from the start, whether you dip in and out, or maybe this is the first episode you've ever listened to. Thank you. Today, I want to share with you something that I do behind the scenes in my coaching practice. And it's something that I do before I meet any of my clients for the first time. This is something I wanted to share with you because I want you to know the thought process that I have, how I decide which clients I can help or not, and how I kind of get myself in the right mode to speak to them. And maybe this is a practice that you could do in your own work, whatever that is. It might look a little bit different, but some form of this practice could be super useful for you as well.
This is the How to Be a STEMinist podcast. I'm your host, Tiffany, a proud woman in STEM. To me, being a STEMinist means creating a wildly fulfilling career without compromising your family or social life. Because when you love your whole life, you become a living example that a career in STEM is where it's at. I'm on a mission to equip women in STEM around the world with strategies to take back control of their career progression, navigate those difficult and awkward gender equality issues, and stop balancing work with life and start enjoying it. If you want to learn all the things no one else teaches you about being a woman in STEM, you've come to the right place. Let's get stuck in.
So I am trialing out how to create a video podcast. So you might be watching this on YouTube, hopefully, if I can figure out how to do it. I think I was inspired to do this because I listened to a couple of podcasts that have created their podcasts into video podcasts as well. One of them is Diary of a CEO. I know I keep talking about this podcast. I love it so much. It's just so cool to be able to get into people's brains and think, learn how they think about problems. And I had a really interesting discussion with my coaching client this morning. She is a female business owner. She started her business a little while ago, but she wants to build up her confidence in things like business development, putting herself out there, not feeling really like sleazy and gross when she's trying to sell her services, and to find a way that works for her and that feels genuine. But I was speaking to her about, what was I speaking to her about? Oh my God, I literally had to stop the recording for about 2 minutes there to think what I was about to say. I'm back. My brain decided to join me again. We were talking about, so she listened to my podcast episode where I interviewed Gemma Coles. So if you've not listened to that, super interesting interview. But she said that she really appreciates how I interview people in a way to understand their thought processes and how they think through problems, or maybe like the optimistic way that they think about things, or the self-awareness that they have of challenges that they have. And she said it's just really useful to be able to like borrow someone's brain for a little bit. So she said, even though I've never met Gemma before, I can now apply what I've learned from her thought processes into the way that I run my business. So yeah, it's just really interesting how interviews work that way. Anyway, off tangent. That was why I love listening to Diary of a CEO so much, because Stephen Bartlett is so good at like getting right to the point of how people think, or maybe even getting them to realize something about themselves that they've never done before. I think he'd make a brilliant coach, if I'm honest. Anyway, I am trying out this, putting this podcast episode onto YouTube as a video format. I really believe in the messaging that my podcast has. I know this because I get a lot of feedback from all of you. Thank you for those who've sent messages telling me how this podcast has helped you. And my main aim for this is to be able to help as many women out there as possible. And if joining a new platform as a video podcast can extend the reach of these messages that I'm sending out, then all the better. So today I want to chat to you about something that I do in my coaching practice. It is something that I started doing maybe like earlier this year. So I didn't used to do it, but I kind of started doing it. And this is something I do before I meet any of my coaching clients for the first time. So a bit of background, if you're new to me, I've not spoken to you before, or you've not heard about what I do. So what I do is I help women in STEM and also now female founders to gain the confidence that they need in themselves to be able to either run a business or become this strong leader that they've always wanted to be. And it's not like trying to turn them into someone new. It's not that I'm trying to make them into a different person. It is really about helping them to gain self-awareness, to draw out what is already inside them so that they can be the authentic leader. I know that word gets bandied around a lot, but yeah, honestly, like to be the authentic leader and business owner that they can be. I think a lot of the time, especially in male-dominated fields, our only role models for success or leadership or, being a director or a business owner is a male. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with having male role models. However, the thing is, a lot of the time, the way that they act or behave or their value system or the way that they speak, the way that they interact with other people, what they believe in, all of these really fundamental things that make up those male role models are completely different to us as women in these fields. So what usually happens is we will go out there and we'll step into a leadership role, or we will start a business. And because we're new to that role, we, of course, look to the role models who have done it before us to look for guidance or how to do certain things, how to achieve success. And we often start emulating these traits of these male role models. And it's not us. It is someone else's thoughts and behaviors and ways of talking to people. And we end up feeling just really gross about it. It's like, oh, I've ended up saying something rude, or, I actually spoke to a new client who's starting with me next year yesterday. And she said, yeah, I kind of started saying stuff and I thought, that's kind of just rude, or like mean. I think she said the word mean. I sounded mean and I didn't like that, but I also don't know how else to gain the respect of the people I'm working with, because that's the only way I've seen it done before. So she was really interested in working with me to find her own unique way of gaining that respect from her team members, but through a non-icky, non-forceful, directive kind of way. So yeah, a lot of the work that I do is a lot of like self-awareness work, first of all, because you have to have that self-awareness to understand then what you are working towards. So what do you actually want in life? I think not enough of us sit down and think about this enough. We are just caught up in this treadmill of work and life. So what it is that you want, what it is that you don't want. So a lot of my clients, they're like, I've started to become this person at work or in my business, and I don't want to be that person. Who do I want to be? Like, how will I act? How will the future version of me act? How will this future next level version of me feel? So we work a lot on that. And through that self-awareness of what you want, what you don't want, and what is going on for you right now, you start to gain that confidence. And I also provide a whole bunch of really practical tools and actionable things that you can start doing to make those steps towards that future next level version that you want to be of yourself. So that's the type of work that I do. And some people would call this leadership coaching or executive coaching. If I'm quite honest, I'm still trying to figure out the most well descriptive word for my role as well. So that's something I'm going to be thinking about over the Christmas break. But it is coaching. I never really full on give you the answers. I really I just use questions to be able to draw all of that stuff out of you. And it's just stuff that is already within you, but no one's been able to get all of that wisdom and information out of your brain yet. The way that I enroll clients is very similar to what a lot of other coaches do. But the practice that I do afterwards is probably very different. So I'll share that with you. But the way that I enroll clients is I will ask people who want to work with me as private coaching clients to fill out a short questionnaire. This alone, the questionnaire alone, like even if you're not thinking of, you're not fully sure whether you want to do coaching or not, I'd recommend just going onto my website and having a look at the Discovery Call questionnaire anyway, because these questions can be a really good basis of figuring out what you want to get out of your career and life. So I ask you a couple of questions. It shouldn't take too long to fill out, but it gets you to think a bit deeper about what you want to achieve, what you want to get out of coaching, what's not going right for you at the moment, where you want to be in the future. And I will receive the questionnaire answers in my email. And once you submit that form, then you can see my calendar where you can book in a time for your 15-minute discovery call with me. And that's where we chat about whether I'm the right person to help you, whether we get along well enough for me to be your coach, because obviously it's a very intimate relationship. I ask you a lot about your life, and it requires you to be really brutally honest with yourself. And there'll be times where I poke at your thoughts and try to question the way that you think. Maybe there are some limiting beliefs in there that you've never thought about. They're just kind of like, oh well, of course that's true, I've thought it for years. But maybe I'll ask you some things that are a little bit revealing to yourself. So we have that discussion to know whether our dynamic works well together, whether I am the right person to help. If I'm not, I can usually point you towards a resource that is useful. So once I receive your questionnaire answers and the time that you've chosen in my calendar for our discovery call, I will, of course, read through your discovery call answers, the questionnaire answers very thoroughly, quite a few times. And I'll usually read it as soon as I receive it, and also a few days before our call, and then just before the call as well. About half an hour before our call, I will block out that time, and I'll actually sit down with my journal and pen with your discovery call question answers on my screen, and I will spend that time journaling. The things that I will journal about is about how I can really relate to the challenges that you're facing. So what you told me in the form, usually the people who end up asking to work with me have had very similar challenges to my past life as well. So that might be similar challenges in terms of, their STEM careers, being one of the only females, not understanding how to promote themselves without putting others down, or how to lift others up without, I guess, putting their own credibility at risk. So sometimes it feels like, oh, but it feels nice to be able to say, oh, but like, I didn't do the project all on my own. I had this help from other people. So you always it feels like you're being kind, but also batting away any credit that you could receive as well. So how do you balance that? It might be challenges like, I've just become like my best friend's manager. Like, we used to be on par and now I'm her manager. So how do I deal with that? Sometimes it's really awkward, or sometimes she doesn't give me that level of respect because she's still talking to me at this dynamic, whereas I need to now at work be talking to her at this dynamic. So there's all these challenges that you might be going through. And I will journal about how I've been through them myself, and I really feel for you and how much I can understand the pain and torture. And yeah, it's like mental turmoil that you go through when you are going through these challenges. Or, it might be you're not feeling like you're listened to at work, or there's all of these things that I have been through myself, and my heart goes out to every single one of these women who come to me for help, or who, they're not sure where to go next. The other thing that I'll journal next about is what I hope for these women. So I will say what I hope for, say, Michelle, is that she will find a way to be able to lead using her own voice. I hope that in future she will find a way to get that respect from her team members without feeling the need to say something that she feels is mean or isn't herself. I'll talk about the things that I hope she will feel. So I hope she'll feel free. I hope she will feel confident because she now has a really good handle on her own leadership style. So I journal about all of these things just before we meet. And the reason I do that is because it helps me to set my intention before a meeting. And this might be something that you could do somehow in your work as well. How can you set the right intention before you meet someone? As a coach and a business owner, it can be, if you're a business owner, like, that it can be really easy sometimes to lose sight of the real reason that you've started the business in the first place. So, you always listen to business podcasts or business coaches on Instagram, or maybe you have a business coach of your own who, their job is to help you to make more money, right? That is a business coach's job, to help you to make more money, to help you to make the business more successful, more efficient, all that kind of thing. But that's not the sole focus of a business. You don't go into business just to make money, because if you wanted to do that, you may as well get a job, because it's not that easy. Usually you will start a business also because you are trying to solve a problem that's really close to your heart. So for me, I started this business because I want to help a past version of myself, women in STEM who are going through a tough time because they don't have the relevant role models to help them thrive in their careers. Also, another past version of myself is the business owner who doesn't have any confidence in themselves, has followed all the rules in business and marketing, and just it feels wrong to them. It feels like they're not being themselves when they're talking to people online. How can I help them to find the confidence that I ended up finding in both of those two roles through the personal development that I went through? And how can I help them to gain the same personal development and the same confidence in their career or business? So usually coaches and business owners, they have all these voices in their ears, either from podcasts or articles that they read, or their own business coaches, like, make more money, this is how you make the sale, be more strategic, blah, blah, blah. that is all great because you need to be able to be profitable to keep your business going. But it is really important to be able to set your intention for me anyway, for me to set my intention for this discovery call. It is purely about helping the client. It is not about me making a sale. It is about me helping the client, and to be able to make sure my intention is in the right place, to make sure that I am like, my head is, my feet are in that potential client's shoes. I can feel for them. I know what they're going through. I've got a sense of really living the pain that they're going through, and also knowing what tools I've got to be able to help them. That puts me in such a positive and helpful mind frame to be able to have this discussion with this client. And this helps me also to be able to know when I'm having these discovery calls, whether I am the right person to help. You know, if I can set the intention that I am purely having this 15-minute call to help this person, I can very clearly see if I am not the right person or resource to help through their challenges. But maybe I can point them towards another coach or a book or a resource that I know of that will help them. Obviously, this is beneficial in a couple of ways. For the client or the person who I'm speaking to in the discovery call, very beneficial. It means that they aren't left considering coaching with someone who actually might not be the most appropriate person to help them. But also to me, you know, in the long term, it is more helpful to know at this point, at this early point of a discovery call, if I'm not the one who can help them most effectively, for a few reasons. One is I get such a huge buzz out of coaching. I feel it's so rewarding, but the only way I feel like it's rewarding is if I know my client is getting so much value out of our conversations and coaching sessions. If I realize a little bit later down the track that the client's not actually getting as much out of them, out of the sessions as I would have wanted them to, then I start feeling a bit flat. Maybe my confidence in my coaching ability might decrease. So it also protects my own confidence and energy. The other thing is, a lot of my clients end up referring me to their friends or colleagues, or to, you know, their HR managers as a resource to help other team members or their business owner friends. If I am not doing the best job that I can in these coaching sessions, my reputation is not going to be as good as it is now. So I want to really be able to make sure that I deliver the most value that I can. And the only way I can do that is by, in this discovery call, making sure that I am the best resource to help them through their challenges, and also being able to discern when I am not. Another benefit of me doing this journaling exercise before I meet any of my new prospective clients for the first time is it helps me to really highlight the knowledge gaps that I have about them. You can only share so much information in a questionnaire. So when I journal, I will try and journal as much as possible. I can try and, you know, I'll extrapolate as much of the feeling and challenge and the wants and needs of the person as much as possible. But it also helps me to realize, oh, I'm trying to like journal about this part of them, but I don't know enough. So it can really make this short 15-minute call so much more efficient and impactful, because I already know which parts I need to learn more about. I already have a good feeling of what I know about them already. So it also saves a bit of time, and we can get right into the conversation super quickly. And most of my clients find that in this 15-minute call, they already get so much out of it. I'm already able to point out so much stuff that they need to know in order to grow their self-awareness, that this exercise alone was really valuable. And a lot of them end up feeling like if that 15-minute call was valuable, then how much more can they achieve with me with a whole coaching program where they get to spend more time with me, questioning their thoughts, suggesting actions or tools to practice in order to gain their confidence or their leadership skills, or them being able to put themselves out there in business. I guess my question to you now is there a way that you could also use a similar practice in your own business or your own career? Before a meeting, could you spend 5 minutes writing down some thoughts about the client or the project manager you're meeting with today, or the problem you're about to talk about? Getting your head into the space before a meeting instead of what we usually do, which is like rush from meeting to meeting. It takes us 5 to 10 minutes for our brains to settle down into the topic of the meeting. Just that quick 5-10 minutes of thought, real good quality thinking and journaling might be able to get you in the right mind frame of that meeting. I'm just trying to think of other situations. It could be if you're about to do a speaking event. Can you sit down and journal for 5 minutes before you need to go in and network with everyone at the speaking event and then deliver your talk? What you're hoping that the audience will get out of it, how you're hoping people can be inspired by what you say, the challenges that your audience are going through and that you're hoping to help them with. I don't know. How can you use a similar practice to help you in your career and business? I would love to know what you're thinking. If you could let me know, go and jump over to Instagram. My handle is @TiffanyDawson_ and DM me. Let me know what you're thinking. How can you use a similar journaling practice in your own career and business? I'd love to know. If you found this episode helpful, please let me know either by hitting the subscribe button, like button, leaving a review, wherever you're listening or watching this. I would love to know whether you think this video version of the podcast has been interesting. I'd love any feedback from that as well, and if I should keep doing it or whether you'd just rather me keep to the audio format. I really look forward to chatting with you again in the new year. If I don't speak to you or see you again until January 2023, have the best end of year break if you're having a break. If not, I hope that, the change into the new year will be a really, I don't know, I just get the feeling the next year's gonna be big. It's gonna be big for all of us. We've kind of, fingers crossed, left COVID behind for sure now. I might have to eat my words at some point. No, optimistic thinking. Come on. I just think that next year will be a year where a lot of us will thrive if we choose to do the work on ourselves, if we choose to step into that next level version of ourselves. I just get this feeling it's going to be a big year of transformation for all of us. So let me know if you feel the same. I can't wait to speak to you again soon. And bye-bye.